Evening, folks. Welcome back to the View podcast for this week's podcast. Delighted as always to be joined by your co-host Paul Brooker from the Leeds Therapy, whose details are down below in the description should you decide to go over and follow Paul as well and get his daily thoughts on Leeds United as well. Different version of the news that Paul does, slightly more opinions, different take, different angles. Very much worth checking out as well. I highly recommend it, and you can help support Paul down below as well. Before we check in with Paul, just to do the official kind of merchy shout outs at the start. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that at the moment is either become a channel member or by buying your official Leeds United merch through the Fanatics links that are down below. That's enough to keep me ticking over, at least at this point. But we're getting closer to the beginning of the season, and there's a little bit of nerves starting to jangle around the place yet again this summer because Leeds haven't said boo for a couple of days. We are going to talk about the sound of silence and not so much the hello darkness, my old friend. But I want to get Paul's take on everything tonight, and we're going to go and look through the entire Premier League transfer market so far this season to see where Leeds do actually stack up against everybody else. And should you be worried or should you be relatively calm at this point? But first things first, let's check in with Paul. Paul, how are you doing, mate?
Amazing.
Don't you lie to me.
No, I'm good. I'm fine. Yes, I did say before we came on air, I had accidentally power napped to make myself as virile as possible for this section. So yeah, no, I'm good. No, I'm really, really good, mate. I'm happy. I'm getting excited. The season's getting ever closer. People are starting to get a little bit tetchy now, which standard, but it is what it is. I'm fine, mate. I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I've had a really busy day today. This full-time job all of a sudden is starting to become very full-time jobby. So yeah, I've had a busy day, but a very, very good and productive day. Lots of new stuff coming. We've our new website coming online, hopefully in the next week and a half, the full rebrand of which this is the beginning of behind me,
Nice.
which is very close to being finished. So all of that stuff's kicking off next week. So I've been meeting with lads this week to try and get all that stuff sorted. So there is lots of new stuff coming. So if you see a strange, slightly unusual logo like the one up there in the top corner of the screen, if you're watching there, it's just a rebrand. So just so you know that that's still us. But yeah, outside that, Paul, very, very good. Really excited about the AC Milan game this weekend and get to watch Leeds in my back door. I'm really happy with that. So yeah, all really good, man. All really good. I'm okay. The sound of silence right now isn't worrying me too much. I like to lean into logic at times like this and look at form. And the 49ers tend to do this when usually decent stuff is happening in the background. At least that's what I think anyway, Paul.
No, I agree with you. It's a difficult one because we have such a vociferous echo chamber that we live in as being Leeds fans. It kind of, you can kind of get swept along with people's sort of worries or negativities or the vocal minority kind of coming out, and sometimes you've just kind of got to take a step back a little bit and just sort of look at the situation, assess it. I think Rob Conlon came up with a good stat on the square ball, the last one that's just come out, and it was the fact that it's roughly 65% of transfers get done within the last 2 weeks of the window. So it's when all the dominoes start to fall. It's when people tend to start to move, or if you're Newcastle, you put a bid in for a player and whatever you do, you can't seem to get that player over the line at all. So yeah, we'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
We'll not talk, but I think we just touch on that right now, because I suppose the last transfer Leeds were involved in was the attempt to try and sign Igor Paixão, and Leeds did literally everything they could have done to try and get the player. And when everything came down to personal terms being agreed by all the parties involved in it, transfers being agreed by all the teams, it came down to a player's choice, and the player himself decided, I fancy Marseille. And you look at Sesko with the Manchester United and Newcastle situation, and I won't take your thunder because you sent me the detail earlier on, but I think we both said at one point, if Newcastle offer more money, they should get the player.
And then literally within a minute of me saying that, it's then confirmed that he's looking at going to Manchester United, but Manchester United have offered less wages. So it's just, I don't understand what it is that Newcastle are doing wrong. I don't get it. They should be able to get the player ahead of Manchester United just purely off of the basis of Champions League football. Just it doesn't make any sense at all. It's a weird market, this one.
Weird summer.
Yeah, very, very strange summer. And again, not to go over points too much, but when you look at outside of the top 6, nobody's really spent serious cash yet. Nobody has yet at all. So, I mean, that'll change over the next couple of weeks, of course. But just so far, this transfer window, it's been, like I said, then that argument comes in with regards to the closed shop and how people can do certain things, like Man United spending over 150 million quid. They've not brought in any money yet at all. So it's just how are they doing that? I understand the global brand side of things and revenue and turnover, and it must purely be off of that. So it's a weird one. It's strange at the moment, isn't it? Where it's quiet. It's because it's quiet. We're all kind of like, let's look at what everybody else is doing, and we're micro-analyzing everything.
Players that we didn't care about at the beginning of the window, the panicky version or the panicky section of the fan base now want. Callum Wilson signs for West Ham. Why didn't we go for him? Everyone at the beginning of the transfer window was saying, stay away from Callum Wilson, not good enough, injury prone, blah, blah, blah. But the second he signs, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be the next one. He'll sign for somebody, and you will see people online going, why aren't we doing anything? I've seen tweets go around today basically saying that Adam Underwood has gone missing, that Leeds are doing no business, which the facts completely contradict that. And maybe we don't have what we want right now. And you mentioned the square ball earlier on, and one of the ones that I noticed was from Don't Go to Bed Just Yet. And the clip that they put out on Twitter this week was around, well, we're going to need goals to score to stay up. We need to get creative players in the final third. They haven't got them yet. And this instigates that level of panic. And I genuinely believe it wouldn't have mattered where the 49ers started their recruitment this summer. The focus would have been on where they hadn't done business. So if Leeds hadn't decided to build from the back and had gone midfield and attack, people will be saying, well, if you can see goals in the Premier League, you're going to get relegated. Why didn't they start the defence out? Where's the goalkeeper? Leeds have done that. They brought them in, and now the focus is on what they still need. And the window's not closed. I mean, it's like arguing about the result of a match when you're losing 1-0 with 75 minutes gone. There's still time on the clock, and anything can change in that last time. And I always say, judge it at the end of the window. I think people have decided that all of a sudden Everton, between the end of last season and the beginning of this season, have turned into this mega Premier League powerhouse that are going to sweep us away in the first day of the season. They've had a horrendous preseason. They have lost players. We'll go through it in a lot more detail and we'll show you the numbers and the data around this as well. But I really do think we get swept up with other people's business. And if we looked more at what we're doing, we'd be fine. I mean, Sunderland, it's been said in the comments already, yeah, but other clubs didn't need to bring in what Leeds did. And Leeds didn't need to bring in what other clubs did either. Sunderland needed to rebuild an entire side from scratch for the Premier League. So they've needed to go out and spend big money and get big players in. They've got a very ambitious board. But when you look at established sides like Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, Wolves, they're in big trouble this year. They haven't done enough so far. So if you're looking for 3 teams to be worse off than Leeds, I can name 5 right now that I think Leeds are in a better position as of right now. And that doesn't even mean, even if Leeds do get all the players they want in, there's no guarantee that that's going to be enough to stay in this league anyway. The gap has been so big. Well,
the Fulham situation that you highlight is actually quite an interesting point. It's they're at 85% of their spend already, aren't they? And when the rules change next year, they're in trouble unless they start to bring in serious money. They've only spent, I think, about just under £500,000, and but they've not sold anybody either. Bournemouth, it's an interesting one. It's a really, really interesting one.
Yeah, people echoing what you just said there from Rob as well, that the business does tend to get done late. And if you look at the 49ers, and this is where I always lean to. I mean, if it's a case that you're worried or panicking, I always lean back to, okay, what has history told us about the 49ers? What? Because they're a very logical group. They seem to work in patterns. I mean, this summer it became very, very obvious. Under 28 years of age, over 6 foot in height, and in the last year of your contract. That were the 3 they went for. Nearly every single sign that came in ticked those boxes. And I think if you go back to last summer, it was pretty similar to that as well. So they do have defining patterns that you can lean into and look at. And in these moments of panic, you can turn around and say, well, do you know what? Actually, in this moment, what does logic tell us? Okay, every summer, they've done the bulk of their business in the last 2 weeks. That's where it's been. Rob Conlon saying it, you've said it. But the 49ers history will show you the exact same thing. People came in very late in the window. And in more cases, the players that were the ones that made the impact were the ones that came in toward. Manor Solomon last year came in nearly at the very end of the window. So there is that. That is your comfort blanket. That is the bit that if you're getting a bit freaky out, just grab it, hold it, and go, it will happen. It will happen. And I think that panic of, I want shiny new toys, takes away from the work that has been done by Adam Underwood and the Leeds recruitment team so far this summer. I think they've done phenomenal business. One thing, Paul, I took from the Villarreal game was, especially the first half when that midfield trio of Ampadu, Longstaff and Stack was there, Leeds didn't look like they were going to concede. Even when we didn't have the ball, I didn't feel afraid. How many years have we looked at Leeds and thought, every time we don't have the ball, we look open and we could concede? That went away for me at the weekend.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I said it to you as well. One of the players I was most interested in watching at the weekend when I went to the game was watching Stack and seeing how well he played. And he's a different level. He's calm, he's assured, he's left-footed, he's right-footed, he can turn quick, he can move quick. I know there was the crab style of Longstaff that people were kind of pitching in about, but on a couple of occasions, vision-wise, he played a couple of decent balls through.
Did you?
And then when you look at it in terms of what we then have moving forward from that, I said to you that I wasn't sure that Aronson worked well as a right wing in the first half. But then in the second half, when I actually got to watch him on my side of the pitch, I could see a lot more of him. Admittedly, first half, I was more focused on Stack, but Aronson had a good game on the right-hand side. I thought when Tanaka came on, he was good as well. I thought Gruev was really tidy when he came on as well. So the options that we have from a midfield point of view, we've massively improved in the midfield. As far as I'm concerned, I thought Nemecha was good in terms of his hold-up play. Thought Peru was good when they came on. What I saw, Goodmanson just doesn't stop running. He's like Alioski on steroids. That's the best way that I can describe him.
He's a bit of Firpo and a bit of Alioski, isn't he? Because there's times I looked across the left-hand side of the pitch and he was the furthest man on the far left-hand side. And I went, well, that's an easy adjustment for us to move from Firpo to that, because that's usually where Junior is. But you're right about the energy levels with Alioski as well. There are good similarities between the two.
Oh, huge. But then also as well, what I noticed at the start of the second half, when Gruev came on, we almost went into like a 3-4-3 formation where you had Rodon, Biol and Gruev almost as the back three, with the wingers pushed forwards and then obviously moving a little bit further on forwards from that. So it's clear to me that we are working on different things. And I was enthused by what I saw. I think they, I don't know what the score is now, but Arsenal are currently either losing or maybe just drawing to Villarreal.
They're losing 3-2.
Is it 3-2 now? Oh, look at
3-2
that.
3-2 in the final minute.
Yeah, so the same team that we played against, literally the same team that we played against, was tiki-taka-ing all over the place against Arsenal. So it's very much, I understand that people want excitement. I understand that people want the creativity, but we have to get the first bit right. If we're not conceding goals, we're not going to lose games. It's going to be boring. It's going to be attritional, but suck it up, Buttercup. That's what we're in for this season. That's what we're going to have to do, unfortunately.
And it needs to be. I mean, that is one of the big things that we've talked about it all summer. That's one of the biggest points to come away from relegated sides. And they all said the same thing. Didn't defend well enough, didn't have physical enough players, weren't tight enough at the back. Leeds have decided to go in with that straight away. And even if we're not ready for the Everton game, and it's amazing how a little bit of panic can change a narrative on its head. At the end of last season, I think if you had said to anybody, Leeds versus Everton, what do you think? I would have fancied us. I genuinely would have fancied us against them at the end of last season. We've brought in 7 players that are better than what we had. And they haven't really. They've lost tons of players from their squad overall. They haven't necessarily brought up great signings, but they're good. They brought in decent players, but they're down as well. But all of a sudden, there's this fear the first game of the season, Leeds are going to get beaten. I understand what everyone's saying. Leeds can't afford to start slow. They can't. But there are some games in there that we probably won't win anyway. So I don't think it really matters. It's the ones that come after that. But you do want a strong start. But I don't have any issue with a Mecha or Joe Peru starting against Everton. I've no problem with that at all. It's more the injury worries I'd have going into that game. Is Jaden Bogle going to be fit? Will Dan James be fit? They're the ones I'd be worried about. More so than can we have a shiny new toy for that game. But I think we'll likely have at least one more in before that time, whether it's covering the fullback areas or not. But
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not. I think if that's the first game of the season, I wouldn't have been worried about it with the squad we had last year. So again, I'm in that position where I'm willing to sit back and let them do their business and trust the process, because in the last 2 summer windows, they've gotten it right. I remember sitting here last year and not square ball, the don't go to bed just yet had a whole podcast and where all the guys on it said underwhelming window from Leeds, really underwhelming window. They haven't brought in the players they needed. They didn't get a 10. And then we finished the season after not buying anyone in January on 100 points, go up as champions, break loads of records along the way.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how far off we can be in a summer. And it might be me. I could be miles off on my positivity regarding the start of the season. We could get thumped by Everton. I just don't feel like we will. And I do trust the process of what they're trying to do. I think in a different ownership, we start bringing in anybody at this point. Yep. And I think this ownership are like, well, let's hold tight. Let's trust the base of the squad that we've got. And let's get the right players in that will push this team forward over the course of the whole season, rather than filling bodies on benches for the first game of the season. Daniel Farke said it himself after the Villarreal game. It's about quality, not numbers at this stage. It's about getting better than what we've got in. And that takes time. Again, I've used the analogy badly on this channel. It has been used again by Robert, where he said transfers are like moving houses. They have the same problem. You're in a chain. Dominoes will fall eventually. And I genuinely believe that to be the case. If Fulham sign a striker, maybe Munez becomes available. If they don't, Leeds will move on to their next target. I genuinely believe that the right stuff are there. And I think there's enough in the tank to beat Everton in the first day of the season. So, and again, it's at home as well. So you have advantage there. Ellen will be jumping. So all of that kind of just, to me, I get it. It's quiet. People hate silence. I'm a content creator. This is my full-time job. Silence ruins my life.
It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific for trying to make any content. And just to add on to the point that you're making there as well, it's just, regardless of how much we love our club, think our club is the best club in the world, we have to understand where we sit in the pecking order when it comes to going for these stretch targets. So Pajau, for example, going to Marseille because of the Champions League sign kind of things, that was as good as but agreed up until the point where Marseille came in and went, actually, we'll give you a little bit more money to get the deal over the line. The problem is that our project that we're putting forward to players isn't as, or may not appear as advantageous, depending on how the presentation's done, may not appear as advantageous to these stretch players or these sort of more flair players that we're looking for. So consequently, these things take time. People like El Canoes and saying that, well, if we were serious about that, that would have been done now. I know your opinion on it. We talked about it. You think that that's probably not going to happen. But as an example, what I would say with that is he's going to have offers from other clubs. He's a talented player. He's going to have offers from other clubs. So what he will do is he will go, right, okay, let's line up some offers and see which one kind of is the best one for me. And unfortunately, in terms of the pecking order of things, we're down here. And that's just something at this moment in time, until we're established in the Prem, we need to just kind of get used to a little bit. And I just think sometimes some people think that it should all be done really, really quickly and finished and done and over with. But it unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I wish it did, but it didn't.
It's the same for every other club. No club in the Premier League has their business done. None of them. Some of them haven't even started. Fulham have signed 1 player, lost 5. Palace have signed 2, and they've lost 9. So some teams haven't even begun their transfer market yet. So yeah, people again saying if we don't get number 9, we'll be relegated. We will get a number 9. And if we don't, it's about how many chances and goals we can get from elsewhere in the park. And again, I think we'll be okay. And again, I'm being positive. I think Leeds will be fine. I think Leeds and Sunderland won't be in the mix. But there is always that history. The last 2 years, I've told you that the gap between the Championship and the Premier League is growing. It's getting bigger every single season. And even with the best will in the world, even with a Pajau, even with a Munez, Leeds could still very much find themselves in a relegation battle. But again, it's amazing. A couple of days ago, people were talking about maybe Leeds pushing for the Conference League, which I thought was nuts. And then today it's, oh, well, if you don't get a player, we're going to get relegated. And it's that massive gap between worst case scenario and absolute delusion. And then we're actually probably somewhere in the middle around, 15th to 17th is probably the likely finishing spot. And I'm okay with that. That means Premier League football next year.
Yep.
And that's okay by me. But probably, I suppose we should probably get into this a little bit and have a look at what these, and some of this is just dispelling rumors. So if you're still on X, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're still there. But if you're still on X, unfortunately, I have to be. You will see people saying things like Leeds have done nothing. Leeds are doing nothing. So let's dispel some rumors straight away and we'll get into the detail, right? So on the left-hand side is a fantastic graphic that was done by Men in Blazers, which is a really good podcast as well. And they basically showed the biggest spenders in the Premier League so far. Leeds are the 8th biggest spending side to date. These are in dollars, by the way, because they're an American platform. Liverpool spent 335 million. Chelsea spent 319 million. Arsenal, 255 million. Man City, 202 million. Manchester United, 174 million. Put these numbers, by the way, to the list beside it of the amount of players they bought for that price as well. And just give you some more context, especially on Manchester United's one. Spurs, 168 million. Sunderland, 160 million. Leeds, 97 million. Again, all in dollars. But that gives you an indication that Leeds aren't sitting around. Leeds are making moves. And yes, they needed to upgrade their squad. They did. But lots of other teams did as well and haven't. And then when you look on the right-hand side, Paul, I don't know if this shocks you. If people want to know the detail of the players they brought in, we can obviously talk through that as well. But if you look on the right-hand side, Paul, what stands out to you there? Like, especially looking at what Leeds are in the middle here versus Everton, everybody else.
In 5 out 12. That stands out massively to me. And I know it's probably more I'm honing in on it because it's the first game that we've got in the season. When you look at it in terms of ins and outs and how it looks, their squad, they've lost Mopai, Metcalf, Apter, Bergovic.
I'll tell you exactly who they've lost. Mopai, Metcalf, Apter, Begovic, Butterfield, Holgate, Luke Leban, don't know who the hell he is, Virginia, Young, Calvert-Lewin, Krellin, and Ducore. So they're in that list you're talking about. Ducore is a big loss for them. Calvert-Lewin, Ashley Young, Mason Holgate, and Neil Maupay. Well, he was already at Marseille anyway. They brought in Charlie Alcaraz from Flamengo for 12 million. They brought in Tierno Barry from Villarreal for 27 million. Mark Travers, £4 million Irish goalkeeper as a backup. They brought in Adam Asnoy from Bayern Munich for 10 million. And they've just signed Keenan Dewsbury Hall from Everton today for 30 million pounds. Which is, that's a lot of money for a player I personally think is a very average midfielder or attacking midfielder.
I mean, well, yeah, Chelsea are absolutely raking it in, aren't they? All of the players that they bought.
Have you seen their fans' reactions to the players they've sold, especially Borja, who's gone to Burnley? They're laughing. They're going to camp. They're actually cheering on their sporting director and saying, "I can't believe you've got this money for these players."
Yep, it's quite funny on that basis in terms of just when you look at just Burnley's replacement goalkeeper for Trafford. Oh dear. Do you know what I mean? It's just you have to look at it. You can't just look at it as the bare naked top line figures. You just can't, because you have to drill down into it a little bit more, because that then gives you a little bit more substance to go with what you're looking at, which allows you to then just sort of disseminate a little bit more information and kind of look at it and go, well, actually, when you look at it, that kind of makes sense. It's like Sunderland spending $160 million versus our $97 million. People look at it and go, Sunderland are miles ahead of us. They've still not bought a defence yet. They still haven't bought a defence.
They still have Luke O'Nien playing centre-back and Patterson in goal.
Exactly. So, listen, they could turn out to be absolutely amazing, but
they could.
But we know that that's somewhere where they need to strengthen. What you need to look at is more about where teams are strengthening rather than just the top line of what they're actually spending, because you can get excited by that. Like Liverpool's business has been nuts. In the summer. What they've bought is ridiculous.
You feel like they've been saving up for this for a couple of years. You feel like they've been kind of holding back, and then they're going, right, we've got the money, go. Get all your Christmas presents now.
Pretty much. I kind of feel like that's how it's gone. You've got Manchester City that seem to be wanting to get rid of a lot of players as well. Allegedly, Jack Grealish is open to the idea of going to Everton. But there again, you've got a player that's a talented player, very good player, but he hasn't played properly for over a year. So
I mean, you mentioned Burnley as a side. Now, they've brought in, Burnley have spent, where's Burnley's numbers there? They brought in 10, they've sent 8 out. Now, of that 10, a lot of them were already at the club that they had obligations to buy. So they brought Kyle Walker's coming in from Man City, Tuna, I think that's how it's pronounced, from Lazio for 12 million. Alex Tezambeli from Ipswich on a free transfer. They brought in Hartman from Feyenoord. They brought in Bashir Humphreys from Chelsea, who was at Ipswich last year. Jaden Anthony, they've had to make permanent, 8 million. Marcus Edwards, Sporting, they've had to make that permanent from last year. Zian Fleming last year, had to make that one permanent. Max Weiss, Kaiserslautern 4.2, and Larson Stuttgart. That's what they brought in. A lot of those players were just the players they had last season and making them permanent now. And that is, what's the number on that? That's close to 60 million quid. Like, then you look at what they've brought in as they've sold. James Trafford's gone. CJ Egan Riley is gone. That's their defense. That's two of their most important defenders. John Joe Shelby's gone. Hootner's gone. And Wesley's gone as well. They've lost Brownhill, huge player, 24 goals last season for them last season, 24 goal contributions. He's gone. Massive, just walked away, free transfer. So they've lost them. Then you get into the Wolverhampton Wanderers territory and see what they've done. I mean, Wolves, who have been down around the bottom half of the league for most of the last couple of years anyway, have lost Kuna, have lost Nuri, have lost Guedes, have lost Senedo. Tommy Doyle's gone, Dina's gone, Traore's gone, Sariba's gone, Craig Dawson's gone, Campbell is gone, Chiquinho is gone, and they've only brought in 4 players. They've lost a huge chunk of their first team squad are gone. And they've brought in a handful of players to replace them. And they've lost their big hitters. Like Nuri's a very important player for them at the back. He's gone to Man City. Kuna's gone to Manchester United. That's their firepower gone. I mean, and then people are worried about where we are. That's 2 teams alone, I think, that could be in more trouble than we are in.
Yep, same with Brentford as well. So it's been a very, very strange summer. I actually think that what we are seeing now with a lot of these established clubs is we're now starting to see the effect of PSR on those clubs, just in terms of, if you haven't got the global reach or you haven't got the global turnover, unfortunately, and even when the rules change next year, unfortunately, unless you're pulling in a lot of money, you're not going to be able to compete as a small club anymore. It's just not going to happen. That revenue just will not be there. And it's we know what's going to happen eventually. It's going to move away to a European Super League at some point. I feel like that's probably going to happen, which will be, a sad day for football. But it's very, very clear that there's a lot of kind of almost balancing the books going on at this moment in time. So like, I know I harp on about it, and it's not because I'm bitter. It really isn't. But Manchester United, £1 billion in debt. Yeah. They've paid £1 billion interest on that debt. 2 billion in debt. Yet they're spending close to 300 million on players, and that's all down to their global revenue reach.
Yeah. It's what they call a manageable debt, where our debt, when we got kicked out of the Premier League, and we were 50 million or 100 million in debt or something, which a year later would have looked like peanuts when the new revenue came in. But our debt wasn't seen as sustainable at that point. Leeds couldn't afford to make the repayments and still run a football club, where Manchester United are in the ballpark where, because of that global reach and because of that global revenue, they can manage that. As long as they're making their payments to the bank every month, bank don't care. That debt can be whatever it wants. You're paying interest on it. The bank will happily give you more money as long as you can keep repaying that. Yep. And that's where it is. Leeds' reach is growing rapidly again. We're seeing it in the States. We're seeing it in places like Canada as well. Specifically in Canada, there's a huge population over there of Leeds fans. You look at the amount of Leeds supporters clubs popping up all around America. A ton of them in the chat there tonight as well, and have been on this channel for quite a while. You then go over to Scandinavia. You'll see it in Dublin on Saturday. 45,000 Leeds fans. Bulk of them will be Irish. The bulk of them will be here. So when you start to look at that reach going everywhere, we brought a Japanese international in as well, which means revenue will pick up in Japan as well around shirt sales if he has a decent season. And I thought he looked very good when he came on against Villarreal the weekend again. So all of that. And then if they do move to this European or UEFA model next season instead of PSR, where it's 85% of your revenue, all of a sudden Leeds come into their own of going, well, we've got the 6th highest revenue of any team in England. So now all of a sudden it's a different ballgame. The goal is to survive into the Premier League until next year. And I do not care how Leeds do it this year. I don't care if the football is turgid. I don't care if we have to drag our arses over the line in the final day of the season. It is vital that Leeds stay in the Premier League this season, because from next year on, I believe it is the first steps of the waking giant at that point, because I think the model starts to move to fit the club's ownership model at that point. And I think we'll be in a decent position as well. But you've got to survive this year.
Oh, yeah, 100%. like I said, we have to, buckle up, strap in, get your shin pads on, your elbow pads, your helmet, everything that you need to protect yourself, because it is going to be brutal this year. It's going to be brutal. I think we'll survive. I think we'll be okay, but it's going to be brutal, and we just have to be prepared for it. We need to quote Jesse Marsh, celebrate small victories, just to keep everything ticking over. Like I said, I think we're gonna be okay. I feel like watching us against Villarreal made me feel a lot more convinced and happy, bearing in mind that that's a Champions League squad. So I feel a lot more enthused about that. It's just, like we said, it's the sound of silence, isn't it? It can really mess with your head.
It does, though. It's what they say about if you're locked in a room on your own for long enough, you'll start to go mad.
Oh.
Not hearing anything from your football club, you're like, is everyone okay in there? Are we all right? Is everyone? Yeah. And again, Dave from Tesco telling the Leeds recruitment team that they're not doing a good job I always find hilarious, because you don't really know what that job is and what goes into that job, and how much of what the team are doing, how much of their daily tasks are chasing one player or several players, or trying to line up loads of stuff in their sales as well. So there's all of that. But then you've got somebody who works in a garage at the weekends telling them they're crap at what they do and they shouldn't be doing that job. It's like, I'm going to stand behind you packing shelves the next time and tell you you're rubbish at what you do.
The one that got me was the one that somebody posted a picture of Adam Underwood.
Saying, missing.
Can you think? And I generally won't bite at stuff like that. I will just ignore it, but I couldn't. I had to bite, and I just put, if I speak, and I've just it just makes me giggle. But underneath that, we had people, and the guy that tweeted it took it in good thingy when I said what I said. He didn't.
Yeah, he did. Love you.
He was fine. So I've got no issues with that, and that's the whole point. We can all talk and discuss and disagree and whatever. That's fine. That's why we're all human beings, and we've all got arseholes just like opinions. But somebody responded on the thread, and they said it's down to the 49ers trying to negotiate down deals. I'm like, you're just making that up now. You are literally
but
just.
So what? But so what if they were? I mean, I'm terrible at analogies, but again, I use the same one. It's like walking into an electrical store and going to buy an 80-inch flat screen TV, and it's on sale at half price, and telling them, no, actually, sorry, I want to give you more than that for it. It's like, well, of course you're going to negotiate the best deal you can get, because that means you've got more money in your pocket for other things. This thing about just give them the money, Okay, well, give them the money for that player, but now you can't afford the next player. So by saving pennies along the way, not spending 30 million per position, means Leeds might have a 40 million at the end of the window to throw at a Muniz, or they might be able to go and stretch to 35 million to get in a similar level player to Pajot, or a 10, or maybe, who knows, even a 40 million on a McAtee. Who knows what will happen? But they'll have that cash, and we know that money is there for a special player. If they hadn't have negotiated deals down and tried to get the best possible deal for the players they brought in, then they wouldn't have the cash. I mean, just be throwing money. I mean, one of the big things with Sunderland's outlay of cash this year is an awful lot of what they've spent is up front.
Yep.
So that's that. If they don't have the season they're hoping for this year, they could be in big trouble with PSR next season, because unlike Leeds, it's not spaced out over 5 years. It's not a couple of million for each player. It's 30 million for Diarra. Bang, straight away up front. And that gets you players. It does get you players.
Yep.
But you've got to live with the consequences then if it goes tits up. And there's a very strong possibility, again, as I say, even with the best players Leeds could have brought in, no guarantee you're not going to be in a dogfight. And there's no guarantee Sunderland's squad depth doesn't mean that they won't be in a dogfight either. If they miss 6 players for the African Cup of Nations in January, and they haven't got the points total they wanted coming into that, they could be in panic stations coming out of January as well. So it's a long season. We saw it last year. It's about planning for the players that give you the best bang for your buck over the entire season, not just a quick hit to say, we got a player, great, that's that done. And then 3 months in going, well, he's dog shit, why do we sign him? It's about making sure we can get the right ones in. And they've been good at that so far.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's a guarantee moving into the future, but you've got to look historically at how they do business and apply it to this. And for me personally, I think they will bring in 3 or 4 more players between now and the end of the window. And I think they will bring in players that will give us every chance we have to stay up. I think that they've done excellent with the defensive options they've brought in so far this year. And I think that for me says, okay, those players look solid, especially the midfield looks really tight.
Yeah.
I trust him to go and get the ones we need to get.
No, I agree. I Stack at the Stack over the course of next season, I think, is going to be an incredible signing for us. He's 6'4" and he glides across the pitch. He just glides. He knows where the space is. He's constantly looking. He's just doing everything right at this moment in time when you watch him play. And I just want to see what he's capable of when he comes up against the rest of the Premier League, because I think he's going to be very, 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 very good.
We have brought international players in. Players that have got international quality at good teams. Like Mecha, assuming he stays fit, and you've got to say that until he doesn't, until he does actually show you that the fitness is there. 7 caps for Germany. You don't get that if you're a poor striker or a poor attacking player. You're bringing Anton Stack in. Yeah, he's only made his debut for Germany, but he's in that picture. He's in that conversation with Germany. He's coming here to play Premier League football, to put himself in the window for the World Cup next year. Lucas Perry is coming here because he hasn't been able to get into the Brazil side ahead of Alisson and Ederson. Now he's come in here and he's like, now I'm in the same division as you. I'm in with a fair crack at this for next season as well. So those players to me are all good players. They're doing the right things. We will see if we can get the rest done. Now, I know people will say, happy clapper, blah, blah, blah. Jer's deliberately trying to stay balanced. I am deliberately trying to stay balanced. But the other side to it as well is I believe that the patterns that they've done will hold the exact same this summer as well. And I don't want to be the person who's had an absolute meltdown every time it goes quiet for a bit and then has to do another video backtracking on what I just said, because I don't believe it's panic stations right now. Now, if we get into the last 4 days of the window and we've not done out, then I might be getting a little bit more panicky. But there's still plenty of time.
Swinging from our light shades in the rooms, screaming and crying. 2 little points of note as well. How late in the window did Manchester buy Berbatov?
Was it last day, was it? Last hour?
How late in the window did Arsenal buy Ozil?
Same. When did we get Rafinha?
I'm tired.
Minutes after the window closed.
I am tired of making that point now.
I know,
It doesn't seem to land with some people, but that's absolutely fine. It's difficult because we all want nice, shiny things. We're in a new system, a new league, and everybody wants it done yesterday. And there's that panic over it because it's not been done yet. And there's still days to go. Just patience.
Yeah. By the way, that was not a dig at Joe Wayman. By the way, that is, just go on Twitter for 5 minutes. That's who that's aimed at. Everybody just meltdowns on Twitter when it's quiet for a day.
Yeah.
I did see, I think I said it last week. There was a guy that basically said, why are we not signing Broja? And then somebody went, because A, he's been broken for 3 years, and B, he's done nothing for 3 years. And he goes, oh yeah, I know he's crap. I just want a new signing. And you're like, come on, lads. Come on. You know, don't let the, what do they call them? The intrusive thoughts win. You know, don't let them out of your head. Keep them in there, hold them back.
Don't listen to the voices inside your head for the time being. You'll just give yourself nightmares. It's awful because we're all doing it. We're all doom scrolling. We're all checking, clicking, refreshing, everything. It's all part and parcel. It's human nature, but we can't do anything about it. We can't physically make it happen. These deals take time to be made because of where we are.
Point being made by John, midfield isn't creative. If Leeds are playing that type of a 3-man midfield, they don't need to be creative. They just need to be progressive. Your wide players are where your creativity will come from. That's why they tried to sign a Pajau, because that's where the creativity will come from. Coming inside, they just got to be able to progress the ball into those areas, and I think they're capable of doing that. Yeah, we don't need necessarily creative. I think when Tanaka came on against Villarreal, Paul Dunn, but I thought he pushed us forward a bit more. Yep. But you did then see the gaps happening behind that. All of a sudden, Villarreal were getting chances that they weren't getting before. So you got to balance that out. There will be games this year where Leeds will have to dig in, and that defensive solidity will help us. And there'll be games this year where Leeds will need to try and be a little bit more expansive. And you hope that the players that will come in the next couple of weeks will be able to do that.
I agree. No, it did. That was when Tanaka came on. It was funny because he was played in the number 10 role almost, and it was quite interesting that him and Pirro kept almost swapping positions, where Tanaka would go and press, and Pirro would then come a little bit deeper to try and make things happen at the same time. And I keep saying it, and again, you can call me deluded or whatever. Don't sleep on Pirro this season. I think he's going to be a lot better than what people think he has the potential to be this season. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think he's come back looking. I've been talking about him all week. He's come back a couple of kilos lighter than he was last season. He looks much trimmer. He's busier on the pitch. I thought he covered ground when he came on, and you know what you get from him. He's in the right place at the right time to get the tap ins as well. But he's looked absolutely fine for me. Now, is he the holder player Leeds need? Probably not. I think Metcha covers that if he's fit. But I think you've got options there. And if you do bring in a proper number 9, then you've got real depth in that position as well. And again, we saw last year, the amount of times that Pirro, when he did come off the bench, influenced the game nearly immediately when he came onto the park. So you've got that as well. Yeah, it's all, I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't like silence. I'll be clear. I don't like silence. If we get to the end of the window and we haven't done anything, I'll be the first person to say, hands up. My patience wasn't rewarded. It's that I'm a Marvel fan. I watch movies. It's that the post-credit scene where you're sitting there, you're waiting for 15 minutes worth of trailers, and you're sitting for the post-credit scene, and then comes Captain America and sits down and says, patience is a virtue, but it's not always rewarded, and walks off. And you're like, oh, wait, 15 minutes for that? Are you kidding me? And that could be the same in this window. We could get to the end of it and go, the patience wasn't rewarded. I think it will be. And I'm okay with that. I'm wrong.
The other thing as well, with regards to the team, I think what's going to be very, very evident is that it's very, very much going to be almost what you could call a 22-man starting 11. I think we're going to see a lot of rotation. I think we're going to see a lot of change, a lot of movement. And I think the players that have come in and the team are fully aware of that they're not guaranteed a starting place, and nor should you be. That they're not guaranteed a starting place, but it's going to be a case of everybody has to work for everybody, and it's all done as part of a team and everybody together. That's the way that we're going to survive this season, not just based off of a singular, consistent starting 11. It won't work that way. It's managing who we play against and having the players to be able to do that and the adaptability.
Yeah, I think that there's good adaptability in that squad. In the 75% of the squad that's been loaded, we just wait for the remainder to be loaded now. And then again, that will be there. I think there'll be depth in every position as well. And Paul, before we wrap up, we'll just rattle through a couple of really short questions that came up. Hamer and Buendia still on Leeds' radar? I believe so. And I believe Hamer has asked to leave Sheffield United this week. So that they could be very much backup options. I think if you listen to what Robbie Evans said about Leeds earlier in the window, he said we can get a championship player whenever we want. We're trying to get better than that. So if Leeds can't get better than that, I think then they'll move for those players should they be available. Camden at the weekend. Yeah, I will be at the Camden on Saturday. There is some stuff going on there. I don't know if it's first come or first serve. Mike, if you check out the Leeds Whites or the Camden Whites on Facebook, you'll get detailed there. Paul, were you at the Villarreal game?
Yes.
Where?
I was. Yes, I was at the Villarreal game. I was sat in front of a very, very, everybody's entitled to their opinions, a very annoying human being that just did not, genuinely, he was that bad. I did think to myself, I'm going to leave at halftime purely because I can't sit. And I was either going to leave at halftime or just go and stand in the stanchion for the second half because I just couldn't think. The thing that was lovely about the day as a whole, though, was just kids. There was loads of kids there. And it was just really nice for them to be able to see that and just helping with the generation of new supporters coming into Leeds. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely family day.
Look great.
Absolutely. It was great, apart from the guy that was behind me that just wouldn't behave. It was weird when VRL scored and there was like no
definite silence.
Yeah, it was just like everybody kind of went, what just happened then? It was weird, but yeah, it is what it is. Do you want to talk about away tickets, or do you want to leave that for another day?
No, we'll leave that one alone. I think we'll just leave that one alone, full stop. I do want to get to this one real quick. What's our percentage chance of El Canoes? I'll clarify a few bits before we wrap up. I did say earlier on today on Twitter that there's a bit of me that doesn't think Leeds are actually going for him at all. I wouldn't be, and I'll clarify by saying I just wouldn't be surprised to see a name come out of nowhere that Leeds have brought in the door. And El Canoes not be it. That's where I am. And I just get the feeling that if the player wasn't showing that much interest in coming to Leeds, and if he was hedging his bets as much as he appears to be, Leeds would have walked away as they did with other targets this summer. I could be very wrong on that, but I don't know. It's so quiet locally around El Canoes as well. And for me, it's moving back towards rumor mill territory, and Sasha Tavaleri's put it out, but Sasha's been swinging all summer and he's yet to hit. So that's where I am. And again, as I say, I could be very, very wrong on it, but I just got a vibe today. I was like, I wonder, maybe we're not in for him at all.
I'm 50-50 on it now. Just probably because part of me always remains in hope that he's going to come, because he's a player I would like to see at Leeds. But for me, I think the way that deal happens is it's literally, we will get somebody of the Twitter Illuminati fancy famous people that will just come on and just go that the deal's been done. It's been great old Graham Smith. It'll be nothing. Deal's done. There won't be any release list. It'll just be deal's done. And I think that's
it'll be like Mecha.
Yeah.
Lucas Mecha is in Ellen Road right now.
Yeah, it'll be. I think we'll know for definite with Knuth over the next 5 days. I think 5 days. If it's not happened within 5 days, I don't see it happening. No. Because it's very, very quiet. It is interesting that Graham Smith keeps putting out puff pieces at the moment to kind of, because you can tell he's struggling.
Everyone is
information, but everybody is.
It feels like the club have just shut down since Paixão have gone right. Too much talk, too much rumor. Boom, nothing's getting out.
Yep, pretty much. And there's the other thing that everybody needs to bear in mind is that the whole world and his auntie now knows that we have between 30 and 40 million to spend on one single player.
One player. Yeah.
So it's that kind of, we have to be careful with the type of information that gets out there and how the business is done. So it's difficult. We'll just need to be patient.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that if that release clause isn't actioned by Leeds United by next week, then Leeds didn't move for him in the first place. Leeds did inquire about him. We know that, but that's all we know. Everyone said the same thing. Leeds inquired about El Knuth and spoke to his people. That's it. We've had tons of YouTube videos of Leeds to activate release clause. Leeds have activated the release clause. None of it's real. We don't know any of that. All we know for a fact is Leeds have asked about him. That's it. And until it goes beyond that, that's where it is. So again, I won't have a meltdown if we don't get him. We'll see who we do get. But likely it is. Paul, before I wrap up, anything going on your channel this week that people can check out?
Just the usual stuff. I'll be putting on stuff in terms of just ranting, the usual kind of stuff, if I feel like I need to do it. But any news or information with regards to definites or potentials that are moving forwards a little bit, then I'll put the information out there. I'll bring out videos and stuff. Just if you've not done so already, please subscribe. That would be great. I'd really appreciate it. Get the notification.
You're close to 3K, aren't you?
Yes, I'm getting ever closer. I'm 2,600 and something now. So it's I'm getting closer to 3K. So just make sure notification everything on, and you'll get to hear my dulcet tones on a regular basis. Which whether or not that's a good thing, then don't know.
Great. I love your tone. It's fantastic. That's why I have you here, because you sound like radio. That's great for everybody who doesn't like listening to the radio. Real quick one from Pierre there. 710 watching, only 228 likes. If you could like the video on your way out, that would be really, really helpful. That would massively support the channel, and I appreciate that. Outside of that, folks, I am back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Assuming there is any news, because on Monday there was nothing, so we didn't do a video. Hopefully we'll have something tomorrow morning to talk about. There's a couple of bits and pieces floating around already, but I will see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. And then we're into the weekend. We've got AC Milan versus Leeds United at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. And then that day, it's on a Monday, not a Saturday. The following week, we start against Everton, and I'm looking forward to it. I keep thinking it's the weekend. It's Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday kickoff. But yeah, there we go, folks. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. Go give Paul a follow, and I'm back in the morning for more Leeds news. Talk to you then. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.